안녕하세요, 여러분. It's your Korean Sam, and in today's video, we're going to learn about 7 different verbs that all mean to grow. Now, this is something that happens a lot when you're learning a new language. You come across different words that all pretty much translate to the same thing, and you're like, when do you use which word? And this is one of those instances. I got a request a while back to do this video. So sorry, it took me a while. But like this one, if you have any other requests or burning questions that you would like to be made into a video, please leave them in the comments below and subscribe to this channel and turn on the notifications to check whether I do listen to your request. Now, before I begin this video, I just want to say that in a lot of different cases, these words are interchangeable and they all have like more than one usage. It's not only used for like this particular set of nouns or situations or something like that. In this video, I'm just going to give you like the common uses of each word so that you have a general idea of when to use which. I think the best way is to just see all of these words used in different contexts and just familiarize yourself, with these like various sentences in which they're used to help you understand the usage a bit better. So what I'm trying to say is don't rely on this video completely. You will have to read a lot more sentences to really like kind of internalize the meaning and usage of all these verbs. That being said, let's get on to it. So the first verb we're going to learn today is 잘하다. 잘하다. 잘하다 means to grow. And generally, it is used to refer to biological growth, like a person growing up or a plant growing, biological. For example, 저는 미국에서 자랐어요. 미국에서 자랐어요. I grew up in the United States. You can also use the word 자라다 for things that grow like hair or nails. 머리가 많이 자랐네요. When you're remarking on how someone's hair has grown a lot, you can say 머리가 많이 자랐네요. Your hair has grown a lot, it's gotten really long. So generally, people, plants, hair, nails, these are some common uses for the verb 자라다. The second verb is 커지다. 커지다. And 커지다 means to get bigger. So growing in terms of size. So think of it as get bigger rather than grow. For example, 눈이 커졌어요. 눈이 커지다. So, eyes grow wide. 눈이 커지다. Or you can say 몸이 커지다. 몸이 커졌어요. My body grew big. When you say 몸이 커지다, you don't mean grow in the sense that a little boy has become a man. When you say 몸이 커지다, it means you grew in size. You gained a lot of muscle or fat or anything. It's just you're the same person, but you've just put on a lot and your size has gotten bigger. So 몸이 커지다 is to put on size, and 몸이 자라다 means to grow up. You can also use 커지다 for abstract things like 아픔 or 사랑. 아픔이 커지다. Your pain can grow bigger. Or 사랑이 커지다. Your love can grow as well. Another example is 이번 시험에서는 쓰기의 비중이 커졌어요. 비중이 커졌어요. 비중 is like the importance or the weight of something. So 비중이 커졌어요, it means like the writing section has become like bigger or more important, or there's more emphasis put on writing in this particular exam. So things like that. So it's used in a very general sense just to mean that something got bigger in size. The third verb is 늘다, and this also means to grow or increase, and generally this is used for something that can be measured, so something that is quantifiable or can be measured. Whether you're counting something or whether you're talking percentages, any numbery thing, generally you would use 늘다. So for example, 식구 수가 늘었어요. 식구 수가 늘었어요. My family has grown. As in, there are more members in my family. Because the family has grown in numbers, you would use 늘다. 식구가 늘었어요. Another example is 최근에 비트코인 투자자가 많이 늘었어요. 최근에 비트코인 투자자가 많이 늘었어요. So the number of investors in Bitcoin, the number of Bitcoin investors has increased. So the number has grown. You can also use 늘다 for things that are a bit more abstract, like power or skill. For example, 한국어 실력이 늘었어요. 한국어 실력이 늘었어요. So Korean skills. My Korean skills have improved. The third and fourth verbs I'm going to give to you together because they pretty much mean the same thing and they are interchangeable, save for one exception. So these two words are 키우다 and 기르다. Now these also mean grow in a sense, but it's a transitive verb. So the subject of the sentence is not the one that's doing the growing, it is to grow another thing. So for 기르다 and 키우다, you need an object in the sentence. For example, when you want to say, I'm growing a plant. 저는 식물을 기르고 있어요. 식물을, you use the object marker and say 식물을 기르고 있어요. So if you want to say the plant is growing, where the plant is the subject, you can say 식물이 자라고 있어요. The plant is growing. But when you want to say I'm the one that is growing the plant, I am making that plant grow, I'm nurturing it, then you would say 식물을 기르고 있어요. So when you're not the one doing the growing, but you're making something else grow, then you would use 기르다. Or 키우다 is also acceptable in this sentence. 저는 식물을 키우고 있어요. It can also be used for babies when you're raising a child. So rather than grow, the more acceptable English word would be raise. But I know for plants, you say you're growing plants instead of raising plants, right? But for children, you would say you're raising a child. So in Korean, it's the same thing. 식물을 기르다, 아이를 기르다. 아이를 키우고 있어요. 아이를 기르고 있어요. Both are okay. So when you want to say you're growing or nurturing or raising something, it doesn't necessarily have to be something that biologically grows like a plant or a child. You can also grow your strength or a skill. So for example, you can say something like 체력을 기르다. 체력을 기르고 싶어요. I want to increase my stamina, my strength, my physical strength. 체력을 기르고 싶어요. To make something grow, make something increase, this is when you would use either 기르다 or 키우다. So what is the exception I'm talking about? There is one case where you can only use 기르다 and you cannot use 키우다, and that is for hair and nails. So for example, if you want to say, I am growing out my hair, then you would say 기르고 있다. You're leaving it and letting it grow longer. In this situation, you only use 기르다 and not 키우다. So for example, 저는 올해 미용실에 한 번도 안 갔어요. 머리를 기르고 있거든요. 머리를 기르고 있어요. I am growing out my hair. So if I say 머리가 자라고 있어요, it means my hair is growing. My hair is the one doing the growing. I have nothing to do with it. But if you say 머리를 기르고 있어요, it means that you are purposely not cutting it because you want to let it grow. Similarly, it can be used for, let's say, a beard. If you want to suggest to someone that he should grow a beard, you can say 수염을 한번 길러보세요. 수염을 길러보세요. Why don't you try growing a beard? The person is the one who is growing the beard by not shaving, okay? So if you say 수염이 자라고 있어요, it means the beard is growing. If you say 수염을 기르고 있어요, it means I'm growing a beard. So there's that difference between transitive and intransitive, so keep that in mind. And also keep in mind that 기르다 can be only used for things like hair and nails. 키우다 cannot be used in this case. Okay, so we've done 5 verbs already. The last 2 are Sino-Korean words. So up until now, the verbs that we've been looking at were native Korean words, and the last 2 are going to be Sino-Korean, which means they come from Chinese characters. And generally, when you use Sino-Korean instead of native Korean, it's used in a more formal or professional setting. So the 6th verb is 성장하다, and 성장하다 basically means grow. It's very similar to 잘하다, but you can think of it as a more formal counterpart. So 성장하다, 성 is a character that means to complete or achieving something, and 장 is the word for length or long. I think it can mean either one. So 성장 also means grow. It's very similar to 잘하다, but it goes a little bit further than that. It also means to mature. So for example, if you want to say something like 아이의 성장기. So 성장기 is the growth period of a child. Okay, so when you're using like textbook terms, biology, a less colloquial setting, then you would say 성장 instead of 잘하다. So another example might be 칼슘은 아이의 성장에 도움이 돼요. 칼슘은 아이의 성장에 도움이 돼요. So calcium helps the growth of children. I don't know if it's true, I just thought of that example, but anyway, so it can be used in this sense, like the growth of your child, like physical growth. However, 성장 is not only used for biological growth, it can also be used for, emotional growth or abstract, something personal growth, mental, that kind of growth as well. For example, 고통 없이는 성장할 수 없어요. 고통 없이는 성장할 수 없어요. So you cannot grow without pain. And this growing is not like, becoming an adult. It's more about, maturing emotionally, right? Or psychologically. You can also say 회사가 많이 성장했어요. So 회사가 성장했어요. The company has grown, but again, it's not really becoming a baby company into an adult company, although I guess you can kind of see it that way. But what you're saying is the company has matured, it has grown, it has, increased in scale, and all these things that you can't really put into a single image, but you know what it means when you say something has like grown, right? So it's not something that's clearly visible, but growth in an abstract sense, that's when you can use the word 성장하다. And the last word we're going to learn today is 증가하다. Now, 증가하다, the Sino-Korean characters pretty much just mean like add, to add on. So this 증가하다 means to grow in numbers. So it's similar to 늘다 in that 증가하다 means to increase in like quantity or numbers. And again, because it's a Sino-Korean word, it's more used in formal settings, like in newspaper articles or reports and things like that. I'll give you 2 examples. 코로나 시대에 명품 매출이 놀랍게도 증가했다고 합니다. 명품 매출이 증가했다고 합니다. So sales, you're talking businessy stuff. So sales for luxury goods actually increased during the coronavirus period. So these like quantifiable, numbersy things, when you want to become a little more formal, you use 증가하다 instead of 늘었다. And our last example, 매년 지구의 온도가 증가하고 있어요. 지구의 온도가 증가하고 있어요. It means the temperature of the earth is increasing, is growing each year. If you want to be a little more casual, informal, and conversational, you can say 온도가 높아지고 있어요. But if you say 증가, throwing in more Sino-Korean words just makes you sound more formal and like educated, I guess. If you want to go the fancier sounding route, then you want to use more Sino-Korean vocabulary. And so those were the 7 words that mean to grow. There are actually a lot more words that can roughly translate to grow. I cannot cover everything in this one video, but still I hope you found this helpful and informative. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next video. 다음 영상에서 만나요.